Okay, this time in part 8, our last part, we're going to do the decals. First thing I want to do, camera lady, if we can get the shiny on that, see where some of them are shiny and the paper isn't shiny. Okay, these are standard decals, but they're very old, and sometimes when they get old, they crack and get brittle. Now this piece, you can see where it's shiny everywhere. I sprayed some what they call decal bonder on this sheet. We might have to use some of these. We'll set them aside. We won't use them unless we have to. First thing we're going to do after that is we're going to introduce some tools. It doesn't matter what kind of scissors you have. Any old scissors, they can be bent like these. I got these from a hospital supply store. These are handy for very small decals. You can even use your knife if you just need to cut it out. But if you do use your knife, take that. A lot of people don't know that, but that little split part in there, can you see that, camera lady? Mm-hmm. That little split part right there is for snapping off your blade. There we go. That way you have a nice sharp tip. Okay, now this is our tools. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to the model and we're going to look at something fast. If you remember in part 7, we left one of the windows off. Windows right here. That way you can see the difference between where it wasn't painted and just shows the airplane gray plastic and the side that was painted. And you can make up your mind which one you like better. So this will go in here. I'm not going to glue it in right now because the glue doesn't hold real good right away. But it will look like that. We'll glue that on at the very end when we're done moving the airplane around so it doesn't fall out. All right, so we decided that we were going to do this airplane here. This is a P-40E from First Lieutenant Herman Ace Lawson of the 99th Fighter Squadron, 79th Fighter Group, the Tuskegee Airmen, in Italy in early of 1944. Most decals will have, or sets will have, a short description of whose airplane it was and what the decals mean. Now, I'm not going to do all the decals. We don't need to do every one, but we're going to do a couple. Okay, camera lady's telling me that the low battery light just came on, so we're going to have to hurry here if I want to get this done. Now, in here, if you look, it has the letters. AA points to that decal. And if we come over here, we find AA. And when the number mark is in between, then that usually means both of them are AA. Because if we turn it over and look, AA on top and AA on bottom. So we're going to go with AA first, because it's a nice, easy one to see. And see, just cut them out however you can. It doesn't have to be super neat, because the paper doesn't get used. Set them aside. Now, remember, folks, these are decals. They're not stickers. You can't peel them off. What it is, it's a special paper that has the adhesive, then they're inked on like an inkjet printer. The ink is sprayed on, and then it's covered with a film, a decal bonder. That, otherwise, else, as soon as you hit the water, the ink would just dissolve. So that film holds them on. It's the film that breaks apart. You don't, however, have to soak them for very long. Just put it in the water. That's plenty. Now see how it curls? What that's from is the paper gets wet and expands a little bit, and the film is a plastic or plasticide, and it doesn't expand. So the paper will curl up around there, and you just set that to the side for a minute. And since we're going to do both of these, we'll get both of these wet, let them set for a minute. Now, like I showed you just a minute ago, that the decal bonder has all that shine on it. Now, when you cut this one out, if you cut it big like those, that decal bonder is going to leave a big film all the way around. We don't want that. So what we want to do is, let's say we're going to let's cut out these wing markings right here. And as we look, that's 7 and 8. And 7 and 8 are 7, 8, 8, and 7. Okay, so we have 2 on this sheet here because they got used for another project. So what we have here is we have 2 number 8s. These go on top. So we're going to take our nice sharp edge and cut this half off and make it a little easier to work with. Now we're going to cut right here. Make that a little easier to cut with. But all this extra in between is going to stay there. If we soak this in water, you're going to have that bonding material in there. And we'll leave one as an example. And we'll cut the other one out. See how I'm trimming it all the way down? Now just take your time, go slow. And it's the same deal. We're going to soak it in there. And we're going to take this one and soak it in there. Now as you're going along, you just want to touch these ever so gently. Okay, is that moving yet? When it starts moving, then they're ready to go. But as you look on this one, oops, it didn't move on this end. See where it broke? Okay, we can fix that. Don't worry about it. So we're going to do this on the easy side. It's also easier as you get into more modeling. You're going to find out that you want to put a gloss coat on here to help cover up what's called the silvering. So we take a good look at where that decal is, and we try and get in about the right spot on here, and just very gently slide the paper out from underneath. Okay, that looks pretty good. When you get that part done, take your paper towel. That one's a mess. Okay, take this nice paper towel here and dab it. Just dab it. Or roll. Rolling is good. Don't rub it. You'll move it, you'll ruin it, you'll break it. You know, you break it, you bought it, but you already bought it, so we don't worry about that. Okay, now we got this little boo-boo over here. Here's all we got to do. Take and put some water on there, which I forgot to tell you a second ago. Put some water underneath it so it has something to... Oh, wow, that is just falling apart. Okay, you get that every now and then. Not much you can do about it. Try and lift that back off. And then grab a toothpick. Now, when they get this bad, just forget it. You're not going to get that. You're not going to get that thing right. That's about as best as you're going to do. In fact, what I do right now, I'm going to take that decal all the way off. Just get rid of it. Okay. If that happens, that's pretty much all you can do. All right, we're going to try this other one. It's been soaking just a little bit longer. It might come off just a little bit. Nope, it already broke. Look at that. See that? It already broke. It's falling apart. When you get old decals like this, you're kind of stuck with it. So we'll go to the bound, the one with the decal binder in it. And we'll see on that one a little better. Let's soak. If you've just purchased your model, chances are this isn't going to happen with your decals because they're going to be newer decals. These decal seats here and this model are about 20 years old. So that's why they fall apart. Now this one here, we're going to have to let that one set. Let that one set. Okay, this one is starting to move off. Now this one has decal bonder on it. And it's going to go a little dip in the water. Where does that show? That shows it outboarded the way out here. Okay. Now when I say decal binder, you can use hairspray too. Hairspray will work just fine. And there, that one stayed on there. Now when we get this on here, you're going to see on the edges, see where it's shiny? When we get a little more advanced, we'll show you how to make it so it's not shiny. And you can see the silvering along the edges. We'll see it even more in this one over here. When it's ready to move. There we go. Get a little dab of water. And something else you want to remember when you're putting your decals on is be careful where you touch the airplane. Be careful where you touch the model. Because if you touch one of your other decals, sometimes they'll come off in your fingers. Now, can you see this hanging back here?
Yep.
See that right there? It just wrapped around. That is from the, it's on my finger. That is the decal bonder. That's why you have to trim these up really tight if you use hairspray or any kind of a bonder. But look how that spices things up. That really starts bringing the model to life when you put the decals on it. Let's see if this one will move yet. Ever so lightly. And when you're trying to get it off the paper with that decal bonder on there, you got to move it a little bit first because you still got your finger on that bonder. There we go. Did you get that, camera lady?
Lay your hand.
Okay, let's get some water on there, some more water on there. See if we can move that just a little bit. Get that straightened up. Because they really grab when there's no gloss on there. There. Now, same deal. Dab it off. And if you have newer decals, they'll get into the panel lines and look really nice. There's another stuff out there called decal set that you can do. You want to be careful with old decals though, because an old decal might just dissolve. But decal set will make them soft. And when they're soft, they apply a lot better. Let's try a different decal. Let's try one of these original. No promises on this. It's probably going to do the same thing. But we'll let it set for another minute. And there's always time, if you're not sure, to come back and double check where all your decals are going to go and match them up. This is number 5 back here. This is decal 4. This is decal BB. Some of them are little tiny things. Some of them are fairly large. Now we did this one here at our model club on base at Ellsworth Air Force Base. And this red decal up here up front, very difficult. It took 2 of us to do that. So don't be afraid to get some help when you're doing decals. The other reason I want to do this side is that sometimes you got to hold the model at awkward angles. And when you do one side from the other, see when we put this decal on here, this horizontal stabilizer and elevator are going to be in the way. But when we do the other side, now all of a sudden the wing's in the way. So, you know, you got to watch out for little tricks like that when you're putting your decals on. We'll give this one plenty of time to go. And then when we get this last decal on, I do believe that we'll call it quits right there because all of them work the same from that point on. Oh, where'd Sammy go?
He's Right after we started.
Well, no wonder we're having problems. The supervisor left. Be sure, though, if you're using one of these, that you have something underneath because you're going to cut them up. As you go along on some models, they have you put decals in other places early on, in which case this is the best way to go. And you can get that decal out of the center like this really easy. Keep your water away from your decals. Don't get them wet until you're ready to get them wet. Because if you get this sheet wet right here, right now, well, you saw what happened. You saw what happened. There was a little drop of water got right there on that one. See it? It bubbled up. Well, it activates the glue. And once the glue is activated, there's no way of going back. You can't unwet it. Okay, it sounds like Sammy might be coming back. Okay. Got a little piece on there. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this decal way over here to the side so it's ready. And then I'm going to pick this model up like this and get this, a little dab of water here. Put this right here. You getting this, camera lady? Okay. Now see, this was from that same sheet and it didn't break apart. And there we go. We just put it right in there. There we go. Just dab that down. How's that battery looking, camera lady?
It doesn't show it here. It hasn't popped up.
Okay, well then in that case, I'm going to show you what it does like to do that same one on the other side.
Maybe only like 10%.
We're down to 10%. We're down to 10% on the battery here. But I'm not going to short anybody on anything. So you get all these wet pieces, get them over there. Away from where you're working so you don't accidentally get those ones in there that you don't want to get wet yet. Let's check this one. That's sitting in too much water.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just going to bring some of that water away from it. And we're going to see if that thing moves. Yep, it moved. Okay, so tweezers are a very big help right now, but if you don't have your tweezers handy, use your scissors, just don't cut through. Come over here. And then stick it to your finger. Okay. It's on there. But you can't see it very good. So we're just going to push it down a little bit. There. Oops, I pushed too hard. See where I scratched my paint? Now this is that one that has that extra bonder on it. See how it's not coming around the corner and laying flat? It keeps coming loose. Okay, if you get that with the model, with the decal, get yourself some white glue, wood glue, carpenter glue, whatever you call this glue. And here, let's go over here, camera lady. Give yourself a little dab like that. Get yourself a little water. Mix it in there so you just got a little bit of a paste. Real thin glue. And wipe it on that decal. See, that whole decal doesn't want to stick. See, that whole decal's peeling back. So get some just regular wood glue and put on there. And then you're going to have to hold it for a second. Well, Sammy's back, but he's going to be snobby and sit way down there. Oops. I just pulled part of that off on my thumb. Okay, but that's how you fix a decal if it's not staying where you want it to stay. It keeps falling off or peeling. Just a little bit of glue, and it'll go right on there. We're going to check this other decal. It's not quite ready yet. Okay, there, it's moving, starting to move. So since it's starting to move, we'll just give it a little more lubrication, and that's what the water works for at this point, is for lubrication. Now, see, we got, the wing is in the way now. And the 7 is going to go the other direction, being gently not to touch your other decals, or break your propellers, or break the decal like I just did. That's okay, because it's only in 2 parts. 2 parts can be fixed. We just don't want it to break into a 3rd or 4th. Just get some water on there. Actually, where we need the water, we need it underneath. There it goes. Just kind of get it. Just work it back into place. And before you know it, a paintbrush is also very handy at this point. You can use the bristles to get up underneath the decal and help push. And I'm just ever so gently touching that. There, fixed. Now, especially on this one, dab very lightly. There we go. Yeah, see, this one's starting to peel off too. So we'll do that old Elmer glue trick again. There we go. And it's because they're old. But yours won't be that old. You go buy one at the store, and it just won't be that old. But those are some of the things you can do to fix problems if you have problems. By golly, we got water everywhere, don't we? Okay, just dab that off. Now we're going to put this other window on. That's actually a lot more than we really need. Okay, we're almost done. In the comments section, where'd the window go? See, this is why we never took that piece off earlier. We left these in that little bag because now I took it off and now I can't find it. Of course, I can find the little piece that I don't need. I can find that. But I can't find the piece that I do need. But this would be the time to put it on. And that is why you don't take them clear pieces off until you're absolutely sure that you need it. And I broke my own rule, and sure enough, look what I had to do. I lost it. I thought I put it in here. Nope. Okay, that's good enough. That's how you do all of your decals. And this will be the end of part 8. I hope you enjoyed it. Please send me a note in the comments on if other types of models that you would like to see a very basic build on. And in the meantime, I'm going to try and find my little side scanning window that we lost. Oh, yeah, that's by the way, if you break one of these pieces off and you need to sharpen this, you know, you take that like I showed you and snap that off. Wrap that little chunk in a piece of masking tape. so it doesn't fall in the carpet or cut somebody's foot. You can find it, just like, and that's what I should have done with that little piece too. I should have put a piece of put it on masking tape. All right, folks. Thank you very much for your patience and your watching and your viewing, and I hope you have a lot of fun building models and learn how to do expert masterpieces. And we'll see you in the next one. I might make a resin or we'll build another model. I'll see what we get in the comments. Bye now. Oh, look what I found as soon as I said goodbye. It was sitting right there underneath this water cup somehow. So we are going to finish this. And there we go. Now, as you can see from the other parts and pieces that I got on here, with this kind of glue, that glue was all over the place just like that, and it dries clear. And you can see the silvering on this one. Boy, that pitot tube is just having a hard time, isn't it? You can see the silvering on this one. If you gloss coat it first, you get rid of that silvering. Then you put on a spray on a coat of gloss coat to cover it, and then dull coat it. But that's not basic modeling. That's getting into advanced stuff. And we'll do that on another model. All right, goodbye again. Now that our decals are done, last thing I want to point out is sometimes you have extra parts. Well, not every model uses all the parts that come with them because you have different variations of that model. These bombs and these bomb racks, they were designed for a P-40N, as in Nancy, N. And they didn't go on the P-40F. So in order to save money, what the companies do is they just make one sprue or tree with parts for both, and then when they have room like this, they just put that extra parts for another model and another kit. I always save this kind of stuff because it can go on to some other model somewhere along the line.